Dear members of the German Bundestag and other guests, I want to begin with a strange but revealing fact about American politics. During the 2020 election, the Republican Party decided at its convention that it would not even try to publish a party platform. No public statement would be made to the voters about the party's priorities. What the party stood for was clear: keeping Donald Trump in power. What it wanted to do with that power really didn't matter. This was a profound statement about the condition of American politics, but there was not much to say about it, precisely because it was so clear. Earlier this year, a recently elected congressman, Madison Cawthorn from North Carolina, told his fellow Republicans that he was building his staff around communications rather than legislation. Rather than hiring people who could help him with making policy or making laws, he was building a staff of people who could help him with making messages, making media, which was another profound statement about the condition of American politics. Ready for one more? According to the Pew Research Center, one of our biggest pollsters, 83% of Democrats said they would get vaccinated against the pandemic or already have. Among Republicans, only 56% said the same. That's a 27-point gap between Democrats and Republicans on whether to take the vaccine, which is not even a political issue, but a medical one. Welcome to American politics in 2021. It is a low-trust environment where one of our two major parties operates more like a media platform than a political party. It has abandoned traditional policymaking in favor of communicating to its supporters that their way of life is under attack. Rather than build support for its own ideas, it tries to destroy trust in other institutions, and that's what makes the party go. Why is this happening? I don't think we have a good explanation yet, but here are some of the factors. First, the gatekeeping and agenda-setting power of the mainstream media is in long-term decline. The ability to create a separate information sphere for people who think alike is on the rise. Mistrust in democratic institutions has been building since the mid-1970s and now favors bad actors who attack those institutions with conspiracy theories. One of those bad actors who attacks democratic institutions with conspiracy theories became President of the United States. This had a big effect. One of the institutions that he attacked was the American press. But it wasn't just journalism. All of the professions that are supposed to provide a reality check for policymakers came under attack from the very top of American society, the president. This includes the intelligence community warning of threats from Russia, scientists warning of climate change, public health officials warning of COVID-19. Resentment towards these knowledge elites became one of the driving forces in Republican politics. In the US, we are living in a golden age of propaganda, which is currently much more powerful than our journalism or public schools. Much of it is exactly the kind of propaganda described by Joseph Goebbels, But there's a key difference. Internet platforms like Facebook are effective not only at distributing falsehoods, but in sensing the growing demand for them. They are like test kitchens for false claims. During the Trump years, a new and frightening pattern was established. A new conspiracy theory or strategic falsehood would emerge from the test kitchens online and get published in one of the alternative news sources like Breitbart. From there, it would be picked up by Fox News, and then Trump, who watched a lot of Fox News, would see it and start talking about it on Twitter. That would be a signal for Republicans in Congress to do the same. This cycle was repeated hundreds of times. Two key facts about that cycle. It got faster during the Trump years, much faster, and it did not require any participation by the traditional press. Could this happen in Germany? Well, you are better judges of that question than I am, but here are some important differences. In Germany, the big public broadcasters occupy the middle ground, and this prevents a Fox News from getting too big. The political system benefits from the common world of fact that ARD and ZDF are able to establish. Second, in Germany today it is understood by everyone in the press and in public broadcasting that part of their job is to defend post-war democracy and prevent the return of fascism and extremism. We don't have that understanding in the US. You have AfD, Alternative for Germany, creating a lot of disinformation. It teaches its supporters to resent the public broadcasters and withdraw from a common world of fact. But AfD is only one of 6 or 7 parties. It can still be isolated in a way that the Republican Party cannot. Here I could be wrong, but my impression from across the Atlantic is that mistrust of knowledgeable elites, including scientists, public health officials, and government experts, is, yes, on the rise in Germany, but it is nowhere near the levels of mistrust that we have in the US. So those are some of the differences. I'm sorry this talk has been mostly bad news, but it's not as bad as it could be.